Hey guys, it's Michelle Taylor Willis, and thanks again for tuning in to According. Hey guys, it's Michelle Taylor. It's Michelle Taylor Willis back at you, and you're watching According to Michelle. Hi, I'm Michelle Taylor Willis, and for those of you who've been following me for a while, you know that I'm the publisher and the founder of South Fulton Lifestyle Magazine and the host of the According to Michelle radio show, where we boast the best, the brightest, the most influential people in SoFu and in Atlanta. For those of you who may not know, SoFu represents the 8 cities of South Fulton County. And it's just a little term that I came up with, kind of like Soho in New York. You know, SoFu, Soho. See what I did there? Anyway, listen, I'm excited to announce that the According to Michelle radio show is actually going to be coming to a TV near you on the new branded AIB TV network. And I'm telling you, we're going to have everybody on this show. Anybody who's doing anything in SoFu or Atlanta, we're going to bring them directly to your living room. I mean, everybody from politicians, entertainers, rappers, musicians, kids with businesses, business owners with great businesses, anybody and everybody. If they're making a mark here in SoFu or in Atlanta, you're going to know about it on the According to Michelle TV show. So if you've got Comcast, you're going to be looking for channel 295, AT&T, channel 6. And if you are out of the state or you don't have either one of those services, no problem. I got you. Live stream on the AIB network on YouTube. We got everybody covered. All right, here's the date you need to remember. Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. That's where you can see me. So you're gonna hear me just like normal on mixxx106radio.com. And then you can see that show the following week on the AIB network at 5 p.m. Eastern. So I'm excited. I hope you guys are going to join me. I really need you to tune in because I kind of need the ratings, right? I got 10 episodes to make this thing work, so I need you. So tune in to According to Michelle TV, all things SoFu, all about Atlanta, all about you.
Hi, I'm Socrates Garrett, Chief Operating Officer for SRS Inc., the single source solution for biosecurity protocols. SRS will ensure that your business does not shut down.
What separates SRS from other companies? We understand that if you control your environment, you control the spread of COVID-19.
SRS, the one source solution.
You ready?
What's up?
What's up?
What's up?
Good to
He's
see you.
back. Did you take a good little break?
Yeah.
You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
You know it's about to be on.
Exactly.
You're about to get drilled.
Yeah, okay.
He's like, why'd you look me up and down when I said it?
Yeah, it's all good.
All right, so listen, I know Audacity is about to drop.
Yeah.
And I love a thing called love.
Thank
so
you.
we're going to get there. But
Yeah.
let's go old school, Kevin. I mean, back when you were way back like a jet, you're just, years and years ago, all the way back 2017.
2017, that's a long time ago.
It is a long time ago. We're in a new decade, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so I've been listening to The Awakening.
Yeah.
I love all of those tracks.
Thank you.
How did you land there? Because The Awakening, that's a big word for somebody who I don't think has crossed 30 yet, right?
Jeez. Now, the awakening is what it truly is. It's just, understanding who you are, not only to your family, but to your community, to the culture, and to the world. Understanding your power of influence, understanding your greatness. And, that project was dedicated to the awakening of me understanding what my greatness was and how to tap into it. So,
what was your greatness?
My greatness is within my ability to tell stories, to motivate people and encourage people in a way through my experiences. I've always dealt with certain experiences that I felt were very unique and signature to me, and sometimes a little wild and crazy. And then I started to understand that, it's funny because it's like God will put some of His toughest tests on people who know how to endure it. You know what I mean? So I feel like I'm one of the lucky ones who's strong enough to take it. So I endure for other people, so that they ain't got to go through it. And so I'm here to tell the story.
Wow, that is an awakening.
Yeah.
So what was something tough you had to endure?
I think one of the toughest things that I had to endure is just overcoming my own fear of failure. You know what I mean? I think fear of failure will really get in your way of like becoming your best self. You know, I hear people say all the time of what they're going to do and what they want to do and what they're trying to do, and they'll put these expectations so far away that no one's there to hold them accountable. So if you say, oh, you know, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna lose weight, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna get into whatever, you know, your goal is, they'll say, I'm gonna start next year.
Right.
I'm gonna start, you know, 2 years from now because I gotta do this first. You know, so it's always something that's in the way, and usually most of the time it's fear. And so for me, I kind of was beginning to get caught up in that vicious cycle of saying, oh, well, you know, I want to be an artist, but I don't want to do the YouTube thing because I feel like that's, you know, I don't want to do that.
Right.
Or I don't want to sing. I don't want to sing online. I feel like that diminishes the brand. I ain't had no brand to begin with. What the hell am I talking about? But, you know, that's the biggest thing was like fear. And I know that's a common thing, you know, because fear is sold. You know what I mean?
It is. And so, branded.
Yeah, it's sold all the time to us. So, even though, you know, it's common, it was very unique for me because if I felt like if I couldn't get past my fear, I wouldn't be here sitting to you right now. Like literally, I'll probably be dead because I couldn't get.
Why do you say that?
that?
That's a powerful statement. Because
I'm a vessel and I gotta understand my purpose. And so if I'm not willing to walk in my purpose, there's no sense of me being here. And so if there's no service, if I'm not providing a service, then, you know, I just can't be walking around here desolate. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, I understood that in order for me to live, I gotta live in my purpose.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, you talk deep stuff. That is awakening like material.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah. So what is the purpose? What's Kevin's purpose? I mean, I think your purpose is to sound great. I mean,
I think that's the beginning. That's the beginning of it. That's the awakening part of it. I don't know. I feel like at this point in my life, it's about executing, right? Whatever comes to my mind, whatever God sends down and, you know, puts on my spirit, you know, it's my job to execute that, right? And then the next part is making other people's dreams come true, you know, while using my network and understanding how to use mediums in order to create influence, you know, in a big way.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about network for a second.
Yeah.
So every entertainer, actor, singer, whatever, usually has somebody that is their bar, right? Somebody that they'd love to work under or work with.
Yeah.
So, you know, standard question, right? Who inspired you?
Stevie Wonder, musically, for sure.
Why Stevie? He was deep, too. I mean, if you look at the lyrics, and your lyrics are deep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Stevie, you know, I feel like it gets no better than that. You know, the fact that, you know, he was physically impaired in some sort of way, you know, all of his other senses were heightened. And just the fact that, like, that handicap created some of the most beautiful music possible, I think that he just had an edge up on everyone because of his curiosity, because of his yearning to, like, be better and to just be great at what he does and to have fun. And it really, like, reflects through the music. For sure, yeah.
So what's your edge up?
My edge up is my willingness to learn, my ability to execute, to see something all the way through, no matter how long it takes. I think that's my edge up, especially with my peers now, and I'm willing to work harder than them. I love them more, but I believe that I'm willing to work harder. Disclaimer. No, I'm just saying, I believe that I'm willing to work harder than them. You know, I'm a recording artist and I do, you know, create records, but then I also do mashups as well, you know, and that really set me apart from everyone else because here I was streaming and I was, you know, doing shows and I was being active, but I was still able to sit in my living room and to create something or content for the people. It wasn't for my label. It wasn't for a sale. I wasn't trying to convince anyone to buy something. I just wanted to show that I was dope. Right. That's it.
Right. And you are dope. I mean, because you are, you know, the when you sing and the words come out of your mouth, right? That's the execution of your creation, right? I mean, but you write your own music. I mean, you've wrote most of your own songs. You've written most of your own songs. And you produce a lot of your music, right? And then you sing, but you play piano, you play these instruments. So, I mean, when you think about it, really, you are when you talk about girls, you talk about the complete package, the girl that can cook and clean and work and take care of the kids, right? But I mean, you're kind of like the complete package, the unicorn, so to speak. But you're a content creator.
Yeah.
You're a creative.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
And that's your edge up.
Through and through. Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
So you're at Motown and decided to go independent.
Yeah, asked for my release.
You asked for your release. Can you tell us that story?
Yeah. I've been contemplating, like after the first album, and I looked on the back of the album and it was like executive producers. And I was like, dang, my name wasn't nowhere to be found. And granted, it is my project. My face is on the cover and all that stuff. But, I was there for everything.
Right.
And I just felt like that put me at a disadvantage and it put a sour taste in my mouth. Me not owning my music put a sour taste in my mouth as well, that I didn't have control over it. Like if you wanted to license something of mine, you couldn't talk to me about it. You had to talk to someone over at Motown about
something that you had created and you,
so that didn't feel right to me. And I just knew that there was more for me and I wanted more for myself. And I felt like I could have completed the whole album, the contractual agreement, but God had something else planned. Certain things happened where the champion that brought me into the label, they left. And that kind of put off something in my mind where it was like, whoa, you've seen this before, you've heard the stories, and so when your champion leaves the building, you leave too. And you don't leave and go with them to another major, you go and you start your own company. And I felt like I wasn't ready, to be honest, but I knew that if I didn't step out then I was never going to. And I don't know where I would be. I don't even know if I would have been able to create a second album. Wow. So I'm grateful that I was able to ask for the release. It took a whole year in order for them to let me go. Really? Yeah, it's kind of
so why did it take so long?
To put it in the simplest form, it's kind of like when you're trying to break up with a girl and they weren't ready. They weren't ready to let you go. Right. So, yeah. They were not ready to let me go because we came off a really pretty decent run. A #1 record on Urban AC Radio, top 15 record on Urban AC Radio, nominations as far as Best New Artist for NAACP, Best New Artist or Best New R&B Artist for iHeart Music Awards, and I know some other stuff that I'm forgetting right now.
There's a whole list of it. We don't have that much time.
It was a really cool run. And then for me to be like, I don't want to be here anymore. Right. I want to be released. The first question that they said was like, well, who are you going to go to? Are you going over to, another major label? And I was like, I don't want to deal with major labels, to be honest. I want to start my own thing. And so, like I said, it took a year. But within that year, I was able to, finish up the album and really kind of have some self-reflection, in preparation for what was to come. Right. And then, meeting my manager and business mentor, Rob Watson, was a big edge up as well for me.
Shout out Rob
Watson, yes. Who's, he should be watching right now, but, it's all good.
Probably hiding somewhere.
Somewhere, but, if you watching, man, thank you so much. But no, he really, kind of fueled the fire. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like not only as an artist, but as a businessman. And, so I have a lot of questions. And sometimes I make a lot of mistakes, or that I'm about to make a mistake, and he'll be like, I don't think that's a good idea. Mm-hmm. And then we'll kind of go through the process of reasonings why, and I process that, and I learn, and I adjust accordingly. So that was a big thing in starting my company, Art Society Music Group. Yeah.
So I'm hearing a few things from you, and all of them equate to significance, right? If you talk to people who've done anything amazing, there's a few things they do. One, they're always open to learn, right? And you clearly are that, willing to learn, open to learn. Two, you're not afraid to fail or make mistakes. Yeah. And you can turn those mistakes into learnings. Three, you find people who really are smart in their space, and you bring them on.
Oh, they find me.
They find you. But when they find you, though,
you gotta be smart enough to know.
That's exactly to say,
Yeah. And it's it's an ongoing process. Like for me, I think one of my weakest points is like, you know, the art of delegation. You know, you know, being able to delegate, you know, abilities and power to people to execute something that, you know, I can be hands off and kind of focus on, you know, something else.
Right.
So, you know, we all go through our own learning curves, and that's kind of one of mine. So, yeah.
So, how old were you when you wrote your first song?
Wow. I was probably 16.
16. And what was it? What song was it?
Wow. Do I remember?
You gotta go find it.
I want to say it was called Stay. Yeah, I think that was like one of my first songs. Yeah, it's called Stay.
What was it about?
Wow. It was about probably something about sex. And most likely it was about sex. 16. Yeah, no, it was definitely about sex. Yeah, for sure.
Trying to get some girl to stay.
But it was, you know, it was mature. You know, I've always had a mature sound.
Well, you're an old soul.
Yeah.
You really are. And, you know, when I listen to your music, even back when you were with Motown, and then obviously this latest track you've got out, and then the Audacity album, I mean, your music is soulful, it's rich, it's seasoned. Yeah. You know what I mean? It sounds like somebody who is who knows what they're talking about, right? So you clearly are. You've been around there. You've been here before. You've been here before.
Thank God I don't remember it.
Yeah, well, judging from all these mistakes you've made, I think maybe we're glad you don't remember it now. But I mean, you've certainly been here before, and your music is truly a manifestation. I feel like when I listen to your music, and when your fans and listeners listen to your music, they really get a sense of who you are. Yeah. And that doesn't always happen. A lot of times I think maybe it doesn't happen because artists aren't always creating their own content.
That, and also, I mean, social media. Social media does, you know, a good job of allowing people into your personal life. You know, as for me, I was kind of in this, like, weird flux where, like, you know, by the time that I decided that I wanted to do music full time, social media hadn't made the big boom yet, you know, so it was still like MySpace and it was Twitter and stuff like that. But Instagram was like very like new to the scene, and so we just didn't know what that was going to, you know, materialize as. So for me, you know, I try to like explain my narrative the best way I can through my music, because, you know, I feel like that's the only platform that I have to really, or to be in control of. Right. You know what I mean? So.
And now that you completely are controlling it. I mean, literally, it's not figurative. Yeah. So you leave Motown, you start your own company. You're a business person now. You're an entrepreneur, right? So it's not, you're not just performing, but you're calling the shots. You're designing the plans and doing all of that stuff. What does that feel like, right? Because you're the CEO. You're the top guy of everything.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot for sure. Like, being an entrepreneur is... You know, we try to make it look sexy, but it ain't sexy. It's real. It's hard. It's hard as hell. And I think that people, you know, when they say I'm self-made, I'm this, and I come from the mud, and all this stuff, and it's like, that's cool, but we really do sometimes have to hone in on, you know, the toughness of it. You know what I mean? Like, and how hard it can be. The times that you have to go without. The times that you have to, you know, sacrifice in order for the greater good of the company or for the team. You know, it's just people that are counting on you as well. In our company, we're very small, but we're very powerful, and we make very intentional decisions. And it's not just me, you know what I mean? So I really do take counsel, especially like, you know, on an entrepreneurial level. I try to glean from as many people as I possibly can. Sure. So I don't talk as much as I used to, because I feel like, you know, I need to be the dumbest one in the room so I can soak up all of the game, you know, so that I can, like I said, help people's dreams come true. Right. Yeah.
Now, I agree with you. I mean, as an entrepreneur, I think the thing that keeps me up a lot at night is knowing that, you know, somebody's got to eat based on my work. Yeah. Right? You know, families, kids... they're relying on me to go out and grow this company so that they can prosper. What's the thing that keeps you up at night?
The thing that keeps me up at night,
as an entrepreneur?
I mean, I think for any entrepreneur, the thing that keeps us up at night is the next step, the next, plan, goal, whatever it is, like whether, you're in the process of like attaining it or mapping it out. Yeah, I mean, it always keeps us up. You know what I mean? Like, we try to get as much rest as we possibly can, but, there's always something that's going to keep us up. But that, I think, for me, is the next thing. If I'm in it, and I have a team around me that's in the present moment and focused on the present, then I have to be worried about what's next.
Right.
And how we're going to handle that. So,
right.
Yeah.
So speaking of you as a songwriter, you've written for a lot of big names.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, tell them.
Yeah. I've written for Trey Songz, Nicki Minaj, Lil Wayne, Akon.
Yeah, when I saw Akon, I was like, what? Wow, I mean,
yeah.
Tank, I mean.
Yeah, Tony Braxton, SWV, Johnny Gill. Yeah, I mean, I know it's like people that I'm forgetting, and so please forgive me.
No, but you've got a long list. Again, I can't keep up with all the awards, and I can't keep up with all the people that you've, written for. But who's out there that you really want to collaborate with?
Stevie Wonder.
So, listen, he could be watching. Stevie, if you're watching.
Steveland.
This is
Morris.
It right here.
Come on.
This is him.
Hear me.
That's it. We got to get in this studio.
Yeah.
Studio B at Patchwork, right?
Yeah. Or A, whatever's coming.
Whatever, listen, wherever you want to be, Stevie is where he will be.
Yeah.
Right. So before we get to Stevie, though, let's talk a little bit about Audacity.
Yes.
Because that was January 30th.
January 31st.
31st.
Yes.
So what was the driving force behind that? Audacity is you have these names that have so much robustness. Awakening, Audacity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the audacity to leave my label and start my own thing was audacious enough.
So is it like low-key shade album?
Nah, definitely not a shade album. I think,
I'm kidding.
just having the audacity to like dig deeper inside of myself, to show more vulnerable sides, to get more grittier, to get more dirtier, to be more sensual this go round. And you got to be audacious to take on an effort like that, and to understand like what this can do for the genre of R&B. I think that what I have to offer is necessary in helping to shape not only present sonics but like future sound as well. So yeah.
So Thing Called Love is what's out right now.
Yeah.
And it is on just about every...
It's on every DSP platform.
Everything you can get. Any platform you want, you can get it. Do you have a favorite on it in terms of like, what's the one that has the most?
It's a couple of them that actually have like, I mean, all of them. But if we're going to talk about, things that hit me in a different way, Thing Called Love does. It's a record on there called Honest that hits different for sure.
So why does that hit? Why is Honest hit so different?
Honest is, it's about authenticity in a relationship, being real. Everybody's in a competition of being the realest. You know what I mean?
And so, nobody's real at all.
Exactly. So, honesty is a very complex subject when it pertains to being in a relationship. Like in a hook, I say, I lie because I love you, and you lie because you love me. And if truth is the mirror, then this shit'll get ugly, and that's honest. If we're being honest. So
can you sing that? Come on, I gotta hear what that sounds like. What does it sound
Let's see. Would it kill you to be honest? Would it kill you to be honest with me? Oh, girl, I lie 'cause I love you. You lie 'cause you love me. If truth is a mirror, this shit could get ugly, and that's honest. If we're being honest. Yeah. So something like that.
Wow, okay, I love it. Yeah. I like it. So we got a sneak peek.
Yeah. So yeah, vulnerability. Vulnerability. Let me see. So we got Honest, we got a thing called Love, we got what's the other record that's on there? I'd say Let It Out too. That's the kind of first record that people hear. And that's more so like, just sonically, like just kind of pushing the genre. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's kind of like it's a new funk. You know what I mean? In a sense, like electro funk. It got a vibe. It got a groove. And yeah, I'm like I said, I'm trying to, tilt my hat off to my predecessors, enjoy the present, and pave a way for, the future.
Right. So it sounds like you could be a change agent, right? Or this disruptor.
For sure.
So what is disruptive about Kevin Ross?
I think that we've yet to kind of figure out, like, what is it truly that's going to, like, make me disruptive. I think that what we are doing over at Art Society Music Group will eventually be very disruptive in how we do business, how we're making other people's dreams come true while still being fair, and being successful. My mantra with the company is, God engineered and vision driven. And so, that's what I kind of abide by, is that for the things that I can't control, I got to get on my knees and I got to pray and, trust that everything that I can't control is handled through God, through divinity. So, yeah.
So when you're gone, which will be a long time.
Yeah, a long time.
If somebody had to make a statement about you, what would you want them to say?
Just a great man. Great man that stood for, people. Great heart. Loved his family. And, loved music. And, and then after that, they can play some of my records. And, some of my mashups, so they can enjoy the musicality. They can enjoy, the love that I had to give. And for those who miss me, they'll be comforted by the songs and the records. And most importantly, my children and their children's children will have masters to leverage, and to they'll be financially, literate to, make sure that that legacy lives on, and that it will help to continue to make money. Because at best, it'll be passive income. It'll help keep some lights on or something.
Right.
Pay for somebody's tuition down the road or something like that. So
yeah, tuition is a thing.
Yeah.
And I love that you said, as somebody with 4 kids, so tuition is a big thing. But I love that you said legacy.
Yeah.
Because that is so important, right? I mean, legacy and those who leave it are scarce.
Yeah.
Right? And so we have to get better as people, period. Being intentional about creating legacy and leaving it for our kids and our kids' grandkids. So the fact that you want to be known as a legacy leaver is huge.
Yeah, I come from, like, my family, especially on my father's side. Our family tree starts with my grandparents. So they were both adopted or orphans, right? So they don't know their history. We don't know our history. So it's literally like them, my parents, and then me.
Wow.
So that's where it starts. So there's a huge gap. And so for me, legacy is so important because I know what it's like to not have it. I know what it's like to have this empty void to say, I don't know where we really get our musical gift from. I don't know.
Right, because your dad was a singer, right?
Yeah. And then and then his, father could sing. But that's what we all we got. So for that, as the generations start to trickle down, I want to be one of the ones that made sure that I left something behind for the family, so that they can kind of like really hold on to that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you what I'm going to say about you. When I'm in heaven and after, I'm going to be like, yeah, he gave me that dope jungle jacket.
That job.
He gave me the jungle jacket. That's what I remember most about heaven. And I'll have it just hanging on my little hook in my heavenly bathroom when I'm in heaven. So
That's true.
I think we got to make that legacy happen.
Hey, well, you never know. Perhaps a long song away for sure.
Stand up, give me a hug. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Absolutely. I never was too good at this thing called love. But all I know is if you teach me, I know I could be a better man until you show me all that I could become. I didn't know what it was to be good at this thing called
comes to the best biosecurity and biosafety protocols to help your business thrive during these challenging times of face masks, viruses, and gloves, schools, businesses, sports arenas, hotels, and even churches are turning to America's top COVID-19 experts.
Providing is a solution that has the ability to change the way we fight COVID-19.
Hi, I'm Socrates Garrett, Chief Operating Officer for SRS Inc., the single source solution for biosecurity protocols. SRS will ensure that your business does not shut down.
What separates SRS from other companies? We understand that if you control your environment, you control the spread of COVID-19.
SRS, the one source solution.
Hi, guys, and thanks so much again for tuning into the According to Michelle show. I'm so excited about this show because we get to bring you so many of the best and the brightest right here from your own backyard in SoFu and Atlanta. Think about it. Entertainers, politicians, business owners, whatever. I'm going to make sure that you know who is impacting and affecting the SoFu and the Atlanta area. Even if they don't live here, it doesn't matter. If they're making a dent and they're influencing Atlanta, you are going to know about it through the According to Michelle show. Speaking of which, were you like amazed by this interview that I just did with Kevin Ross? I love this kid. I say kid because I'm not really that much older than him, okay, between you and me. But I love the fact that he was talking about legacy. And legacy is a huge thing for me, and I hope it's a big thing for you, right? Because legacy is what happens when we are gone. And for me, I want to make sure I'm impacting my children, their children, and their children. And Kevin Ross, as a young entrepreneur, a young entertainer, is already thinking about that. He says that. I'm thinking about legacy. What's my legacy going to be? And again, that's why we bring you the According to Michelle show. So you can think about things maybe that you haven't always thought about, right? So I can tell you about somebody who is thinking about something all the time, and that's Kevin James, the president of Morris Brown College. I feel like today's show is kind of a tale of two Kevins, if you will, right? But you got two major guys doing major things. And what I love about this interview with Kevin James is that you're going to hear Morris Brown was like, kind of forgotten. People said, it can't come back. The school is done. The school is dead. And Kevin James said, absolutely not. I am here to prove to everybody that this school is not just alive, but it's more alive than it ever has been. And we are just getting started. So I know that part of his story, part of his legacy is going to be Morris Brown. But guess what? I want you to know it too. So let's watch and see what happens.
Morris Brown College is the only historically black college in the state of Georgia that was founded by black people for black people. Have you persevered? Are you hungry? Are you ready for another family?
My name is Julian Ross.
My name is Jacqueline Flanoy.
I go to Morris Brown College.
I'm a sophomore here at Morris Brown College, and my major is psychology.
Morris Brown, within the next 5 years, will be a top college in Atlanta, in the state of Georgia, in this region, and in this country.
Because of my disability, I was trying to find a school that was a community.
My teacher's gonna know me personally, and that it's like having a private tutor.
Our classes are more like mentorships as opposed to a class, where you have one-on-one contact with your instructor. The instructors know you by name, your major, your goals, your desires, your dreams.
I come here because the education is free.
My goal is to be the most cost-efficient historically black college in the state of Georgia.
They work with you as far as scholarships and things like that, so that's why I chose Morris Brown.
Nobody leaves Morris Brown in debt.
That I'm continuing a legacy. I have my mother who attended Morris Brown back in the day. I have my grandfather who is now an attorney who also graduated from here.
And while I'm involved in the restitution of Morris Brown, I'm also getting an amazing education.
Hey guys, so it's Michelle Taylor Willis, and I am here on the beautiful campus of Morris Brown College with the dignified, illustrious, incredible Dr. Kevin James, who is president of Morris Brown College. Dr. James.
Yes.
Okay, so is it Dr. James or Kevin? Which one are we doing?
Whatever you want to call me.
Really?
Yes.
Because I have some...
You can even call me KJ if you like.
KJ, I think I'm going there, KJ.
Hey,
I
that's
feel
fine.
very comfortable in this. I mean, I really feel like I'm in the Oval Office. This office is gorgeous.
Thank you so much.
Did you design this?
No, actually, we brought in an interior designer to help us out. You know, we had a fire last summer, and so the office is brand spanking new. So thank you for being here and giving my interior designer some props on it.
Absolutely.
I had nothing to do with it.
You had nothing to do with
Nothing.
it. Yeah, because if you had more to do with it, I feel like there'd be more purple.
I know. I know.
I feel like there would be more purple.
Yeah.
Shout out to the bros.
Yes,
the
of
bros.
course.
But you're an Omega man now. You were a Q
No.
dog in school. Now you're an Omega.
You know,
man.
I'm 50-50. You know, it just depends on where I am.
Well, right now you're in your office.
Right now,
so.
I am Dr. Kevin James, Omega Man.
There you go. All right. All right. So let's talk a little bit about Morris Brown. And this, school obviously has a little bit of, it's near and dear to my heart now since
Yes.
I serve on the foundation board for the
Yes.
college. But I know that you didn't attend Morris Brown.
Right.
So how did you end up here?
It's interesting. I was watching the news last December, and I was at home watching the news, and I saw where my predecessor resigned. And my goal has always been to be a historically black college president. And
When you say always, like
always.
when did that start?
Well, actually started, I'm not going to say always, in my adult years,
Right.
maybe 22 years ago when I started teaching. And I was teaching at Job Corps. I was working with adult students. And it was there that I fell in love with educating adults. And so anyway, I since that time, I've wanted to be a black college president. And so it took me all of 3 to 5 seconds to say, wow, I want to be the next president of Morris Brown. And I immediately picked up my phone and I called the 6th district of the AME Church and I said, how do I apply for this position? And just so happened that I talked to the chairman's assistant and somehow we just connected immediately. And we talked on the phone for 30, 45 minutes. And at the end of that conversation, she said, send me your resume and I'll make sure it's put in the bishop's hands. And so the rest is history.
Wow. So you said you were teaching before
Yes.
that. Were you always planning on going into education?
No, it's interesting. My entire family were all educators. And when I went to college, I said I want to do anything except teach.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I did not want to teach. But coming out of college, the only job I could find, the only job was a teaching position.
That's crazy.
It's
It's so funny because we spend so much time trying not to be like our family,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
Like, I mean, I say all the time, I'm never going to be like my mom. I used to say, I'm not going to be a mean mom when I grow up,
And
and
now
I'm
you're just
pretty
like
sure.
her.
I'm pretty sure.
Now
my
you're
kids
that mean
think
mom.
I'm the mean mom. And so we spend all this time trying to be everything that we're not supposed to be,
Right.
and if everything works out like it should, we end up being exactly what we're not supposed to be.
Listen, God's plan is you can't run from it.
You can't, and we try so
That's
hard.
it.
Try so hard. So the first job you took was in education. But
Yes.
what about before then? Like, what were you like as a kid? I have a feeling you were pretty rambunctious.
No, not at all. I am the oldest of 5 kids. I come from a very large family. I have 4 sisters.
So you grew up with, okay,
Yes.
all right. Some things are starting to make sense
Yes.
now to me.
4 sisters, and people say, "Oh man, how was it growing up with women?" It was all I knew, so I didn't really know anything else. But I still had my friends in the neighborhood.
That's interesting. You strike me as somebody, and I know this to be true, you're very passionate. Whatever the
Yes.
cause it is you're behind, whether it's the Qs or, your students or the school, you're very passionate about
Yes.
what you do. How did you become so entrenched in this quest for Morris Brown? Because you said when you saw it, it was like 3 to 5 seconds.
Yes.
And you were like, boom. I mean, it could have been any HBCU,
Yeah.
anywhere on the AUC
Yeah.
campus, right?
Yeah.
But Morris Brown is what stuck.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, the first thing that I saw was opportunity. Before my first interview, I picked up the phone and I called my mentor. Now, I know Morris Brown. I know HBCUs because I studied them.
Sure.
And this has never been done before.
When you say this, what is this?
Losing its accreditation and coming back 20 years later. When you lose your accreditation, it's a death sentence. You close.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Since 1837, we've had 130 HBCUs or so. Today we have 101. When you close, you close.
Right.
So I picked up the phone and I called my mentor and I said, listen, I would like to be the president of Morris Brown College. What do you think? Now, she's one of the top researchers of HBCUs in the country. She sat for a second and she said, well, Kevin, it's never been done before, but if you really want it, you could do it. And I said, I really want to do it. And so the quest started and the passion came. Before my first interview, I came out here to this campus and I walked the campus for an hour, kind of just meditating and praying and just taking it all in. I actually sat down in front of the stone out there and said, wow, can this really be done? And once I put my mind to something, there's no stopping it.
Right.
And so just the history of what this institution represents. When you look at this book, The First 100 Years of Morris Brown College, this book is all about self-determination and self-help. That's how Morris Brown started. The original for us, by us. The only HBCU in Georgia that was founded actually by Black people. And so just that alone, we can't let it die.
Right.
And so just our ancestors, everybody who's really counting on me, on the alumni, on the faculty, the staff, everybody who's here to resurrect this institution. And so we're going to do it. We're absolutely going to do it. And I'm 100% all in.
I would agree with that completely. There's no doubt about that.
Yes.
So when she said, Kevin, if anybody could do it, you could do it. Did you believe her?
Yes.
You did?
Yes, I did. You know, I already believed, even before I picked up the phone to call her, I said I could do it. But I just wanted to hear another opinion on it. From a data standpoint, from a research standpoint, from a, is this even really possible standpoint? And she said, Kevin, it's never been done, but if anyone can do it, you can. And we are doing it. We're going to be the first to do it. And we're going to resurrect this institution. We're going to restore the institution. And we're going to, be that haven for hungry souls, like we were designed to be in the beginning.
Haven for hungry souls.
Yeah. That's a line from our alma mater. And basically...
can you sing the alma mater?
I can, but I don't want to do it on camera. Haven for hungry souls is who we are. Everyone can't go to a University of Georgia. Everyone can't go to whatever school. But Morris Brown has always been that institution that if you're hungry for an education, this is your haven. And then the second line of the alma mater regarding that is, and feeding them shall be our goal.
Wow.
Feeding them an education, feeding them experience, feeding into their character, feeding into just who they are as a person, growing them into the man or woman that God has called them to be. And that's who we are. We are unlike other institutions. We're a haven for hungry souls. If you want to come here, come to Morris Brown College, and we will feed you and make sure that you can go out and compete.
So talk to me about the enrollment right now.
Yes.
Right? Because you're up for accreditation in October.
Yes.
Right? So how many students are here right now?
Right now we have 35 students.
35 students. And
Yes.
what are the areas of, what subjects?
Yes,
What
we have
majors?
business, hospitality and management, psychology and music.
Gotcha.
Yes, and we're really going to focus on those programs right now, get our accreditation, build up the institution, and then I'll be looking at other degree programs down the road.
So what are your expectations after accreditation?
I had a student, first time ever, to inbox me, and this student said, I want to come to Morris Brown, but I only want to come if the institution is accredited. Please have the school accredited so I can come within the next 2 years. He was a junior in the next 2 years. And my response to him was, this is my personal promise to you. We'll be accredited and you can come to Morris Brown College. So there are people looking at us to see, wow, we got a lot of momentum. Can it be done? Will it be done? And if it's going to be done, I'd be interested in attending Morris Brown. My mindset was accreditation. Now my mindset is switching or shifting from only accreditation to, okay, we're going to be accredited. Now where are our students going to live?
Right.
So right now I'm looking to see how are we going to acquire land so we can build dorms.
What does the land situation look like now? Because at one point, Morris Brown owned quite a
40
bit.
plus acres of land.
And we're down to now what?
5 or 6 acres. We lost a lot of land during bankruptcy.
Okay.
$30+ million bankruptcy, and so we lost land. We lost resources. They've torn down some buildings have caught on fire. So at this point right now, we have 3 buildings remaining. Fountain Hall, which is a historical landmark. Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois' office was on the 2nd floor.
Wow.
Yes. The soul of black folk. The major research that has gone out into this world about black people came from off this campus.
Came from this. Say that again.
Yes.
Look in the camera and say that.
The research, Dr. W.E. Du Bois, one of the first who got a PhD from Harvard University, who is a faculty member at Atlanta University here on this campus. The soul of black folk, which was major research for us as a people, we as a people, came from off this land.
That in itself is enough to at least make you sit up in your chair and go,
Absolutely.
what? Really?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Which is why folks are looking into helping us to restore Fountain Hall. And so that is a major push for the resurrection of our institution. It's going to cost $30 million for us to restore Fountain Hall, but we are absolutely going to do it.
And Fountain Hall just had a big win a couple months ago, right?
Absolutely. We received a $500,000 grant to start the process of restoration, to make sure that the building, we can kind of patch up the roof, make sure, we can keep further deterioration from happening.
Right.
Yeah. I wanted the church to see that we actually had a chance this time. We've been trying to be accredited, to earn our accreditation for the last 18 years. Or why is this time any different? Well, we have new leadership, we have a new board chairman, we have new board members. You have this young president with all these great ideas coming in saying, believe in me.
So, all right. So, to the naysayers.
Yes.
To the people that say, it's not worth the fight.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. I don't want any parts of it. What do you say to those people?
Well, it's too late now, because the momentum that we have now, we're already at the top of the mountain. Now we're just going down the other side to get to the other side, to accreditation.
Right.
And so all I say is look at us in the newspaper. Look at us in the media. Look at all the radio interviews. I mean, the one thing that I was able to tell my board in the last board meeting, I pulled every single piece of press that we got in 2019. In 2019, we were in the news 3 to 5 times a month.
Wow.
Every single month.
Wow.
February to January 2020.
So when I listen to you, I almost feel like you're this kind of like Martin Luther King kind of we shall overcome.
Really?
And I mean, not to take any, I know that seems lofty.
Yeah.
But you think about it, this was one guy who really had a dream to do something different.
Yes.
And he surrounded himself with people that believed in the vision, that were smarter than him in different lanes.
Right.
And that were not afraid to charge forward.
Right.
And when I look at you, it seems like you're doing the same thing.
Well, that's an honor. I really appreciate you saying that. On a daily and or weekly basis, someone's asking me, are you a preacher? Or they say, are you a politician? And I'm neither. I'm a teacher, educator, and I have a hunger and a drive for educating Haven, folks who want to be educated, right? That's why I love colleges and universities.
Right.
And so I'm not a preacher, I'm not a politician, but I would like to get back in this manner of leading an institution.
So what's been the toughest day? Like, what day did you come in here and go, you know what? Maybe I can't.
I've never, knock on wood, I've never come in to this building and said I can't. We've had some major setbacks. One major setback was the fire we had last June. We had a fire, and the fire was contained, but the water sprinklers ran all night, and the whole building was destroyed.
Gosh.
And so
this building we're in right now.
Absolutely.
Right.
All the employees were displaced. And so that, in the middle of everything else that we're going through with accreditation, fundraising, governance, teaching, educating, all of those things, it was a major setback. But it was a setback for a setup. And so we got through it.
What was your feeling like when they called you and said there's a fire, the building's destroyed? Describe that feeling for me.
Disbelief. How could this happen? And what's interesting is the fire investigators still cannot find out what happened. The investigative report, they have no calls. So I was just like, okay, devil, you're trying it, but it's not going to work. So It was just disbelief. But the number one thing, I was telling someone this the other day, the number one thing that I have learned since I've been in this position is how to solve a problem when there is no answer.
So how do you do it?
You figure it out. You make a way out of it, no way, no excuses.
Right.
And I've had several situations like that. Okay, payroll is due. We don't have the money to make payroll. So what do? You figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
You figure it out.
Right.
All right, the light bill is due. Can't pay it. What do? Figure it out. This entire building was 90% restored from folks giving to us and volunteering.
Right.
You know, as an example, Bear Paint donated all the paint.
Did they really?
Yes.
Shout out to Bear. We want to shout them out.
Shout out to Bear Paint. Right? As an example, Youth Build Atlanta came in, helped us to paint and put down carpet and put up sheetrock and different things. You make a way out of no way.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the way that we have been able to ultimately restore the institution with little to no resources.
I was reminded, a few days ago, we had a tough situation, and I called a friend of mine, and I was telling him what happened, a leader here, a mentor of mine. And he said, Michelle, you just need to figure it out.
Right.
There's no answer. You got to figure it out. That's what leaders do. They figure it out without any roadmap.
I think one of the greatest things that employers are looking for from college graduates are people who have critical thinking skills.
Absolutely.
And can solve problems.
Absolutely.
And if you can do that when there's really no answer, ultimately you'll find an answer. So that means that there is an answer, right? But when it seems like it's no answer, you can be successful.
That's and that's your value, right? Because the problem's not in the problem's not in the problem. The problem's in the solution.
Wow, that was great.
Did you hear that? It was off the cuff. I'm gonna repeat this for you guys. I didn't get it. The problem isn't in the problem. The problem is in the solution. Hashtag Michelle Taylor Willis, friends.
That's pretty good.
Hi, I'm Socrates Garrett, Chief Operating Officer for SRS Inc., the single source solution for biosecurity protocols. SRS will ensure that your business does not shut down.
What separates SRS from other companies, we understand that if you control your environment, you control the spread of COVID-19.
SRS, the one source solution.
Was I right or was I right? Is Kevin James not a beast? Is he leaving legacy in Atlanta? Yes, he absolutely is. And I encourage every last one of you, follow his story, follow Morris Brown, see what happens in the next 1, 3, 5, 10 years. This school, I promise you, is coming back with a vengeance. You know what else is coming back with a vengeance? Next week, another episode of the According to Michelle TV show. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. right here on the new AIB television network. We're going to bring you the best, the brightest. Everything Atlanta has to offer is for us. It is for you. So, of course, you can follow me on socials, Michelle Taylor Willis, on just about everything. But until next week at 5 p.m., which is where you're going to be, right here on the AIB network. Have a great week, guys. We'll see you next time.